Hello and welcome. I hope your December's going well. It's time to make a last minute dress. It'll just take you an hour or two, I promise. And yeah, very cute fabric. It's perfect. Perfect jacket. Now I'm once again using this McCall's 7948 pattern. I absolutely love this pattern. It is my current favourite. My other favourite is Burrito 6677. And this fabric is a quilting fabric. All the big stores and all the quilting stores or smaller fabric stores generally have sales now and then after Christmas right through the end of the year. So with this pattern, you don't get out every piece of the pattern and get really stressed. All you need is the front bodice and the back bodice. You cut out one front bodice in your fashion fabric and then the left and the right of the back in your fashion fabric, and then plain cotton for the lining. Do the same. So you've got two sets of the bodice, and then for the skirt we're just going to use the rest of the fabric. So after I used half a yard to do the bodice, and then the other 1.5 yards it's here, and I trimmed off the ends so they're nice and straight. Then I just folded it in half and cut it in half. And yeah, selvage to selvage, that's going to be the front, and then selvage to selvage is going to be the back. So I pinned them together, and it's directional print. Like all the Christmas decorations have to be up the right way. So just make sure if you get a directional print that you're not putting one upside down. And then you just sew them together. Because it's selvage to selvage, you don't have to worry about doing a French seam or overlocking it or anything like that. Your skirt is done. You're going to have to pleat it down when you attach it to the bodice, but for now it's done. 2 seams and it's done. So now we're going to do the bodice, and what you have to do first is sew the 2 backs together, the back left and the back right, and then the lining, the back left and the back right together as well. And there's just a little notch halfway up. So you sew them with your machine, and then you press it with your iron flat. You press your seam allowance nice and flat. You do that for both the outer, like the fashion fabric, and the lining. And once that's done, now we can actually start making the bodice. So just flip your front, your outer bodice over. So this is the back. And now we're going to put the front on top, right sides together. And we're just going to join them at the shoulders, not the sides, just the shoulders. So we've got the outer bodice and the lining. We just need to machine sew them both at the shoulders, and then once you've done that, just press the seams open. And once you've done that, lay your outer bodice down, and then lay your lining one on top of it and pin them together at the neckline. And you go right around the neck, then also do that top bit of the where the button's going to go. And then you machine sew them, and once you machine sew it, just press it, then clip the curve, and then so that it sits nicely once you've turned it out. Then when you turn it out again, press it, and then once you've done that, oh, it's looking so pretty. So we've done the shoulders, the neckline. Now the next step is to do the sleeves or the armholes. So I'm getting distracted with this gorgeous pattern again. Okay, so now it is time to use the burrito method to do the sleeves. So first you sort of splay out your bodice. So you've got the whole of the armhole right there. And then you flip under the lining so that it's all laid out flat. You sort of butterfly it, to use a kitchen term. So you've got your right side of your outer fabric over there, and then the right side of the lining just lying flat or on the other side. And then you roll up the left side of your bodice right into the middle. So see, you've got and now you just have to pick up the lining and put it over it. That's the burrito part. And now you just pin them together at the shoulder first and then the rest. Then you machine sew it, and then you press it and then you clip the curve. And once you've clipped the curve, then you just lift it up, and the left side of your bodice is all still rolled up in there. So you just pull that through, and there you go. You've got the whole of your right side is done. And we'll press it in a second, but first we'll do the left side. So you do the whole thing again. So you leave the top left the way it is, but you sort of flatten out the left lining so that it's all splayed out. And then you roll in the right side so that it's right in the middle of that. I'm not explaining it well, am I? So then you roll it up into the middle. Then you lift your left side lining over to meet the left side of the shoulder of your fashion fabric. And then you pin them together from the shoulder, and then you work your way out. And then you go over to your sewing machine sew it, then press it, then clip the curves. And then once that's done, you just pull the whole thing through again. Just lift up the back and then just gently pull everything through. Don't tug or try and tear it through, because you just end up ripping the stitches you've just done. Just go gently and it'll come through. And there we go. Now the bodice is basically done except for the side seams. So you just press it again before you do the side seams. And then you lay it flat. And now you can see that the side seams are the bit that is left to do. So you just turn it inside out again, and you just pin all the sleeves together, all the sides together. So obviously the fashion fabric is the front and the back, so you pin them together, and then the lining is the black bit, and you pin them together. And I've pinned one side, and then you pin the other side, and obviously they meet at the underarm. And once you've pinned both sides, then you machine sew it. And once you've machine sew it, then you have to press. This is the important seam. If you don't press anything else, you really do have to press this underarm seam the correct way. Press it flat so that when you fold it in the right way, it sits properly. So yeah, there we go. The side seams are done, sitting all beautifully, no bulk under the underarm. And now we just have to pin the skirt to the bodice. So the easiest way to do this is just put pins in center front, center back, side, left side, right side. So you've got 4 pins, and then you put 4 pins in the skirt, same center front, center back, left side, right side, and then you match up those 4, and then you find the halfway point of each, and then which is how you get 8. And then you put ones in between, and you end up with like 16 or 32, however many you want. And then you just pleat them down. To pleat, see how there's a loop of the outer fabric? You just push it all to the side. It's like making folding the sheet on a bed. You push it all to the side, and then you fold it back on itself really neatly. And then you just go around the whole thing and do it that way. You could do box pleats, which is every second one a different way, or knife pleats, which is every pleat the exact same, like push it all to the left, fold it back to the right, push it all to the left, fold it back to the right. Whereas box pleat is every second one is a different way. Then you machine sew it, and you machine sew it twice to reinforce it. And then the next thing you do is you push up the seams of the skirt and the bodice up into the bodice, and then you pull over the lining bodice, and then you just hand stitch that into place. When I make the bodice, on the lining, I just do a seam allowance line, just regular seam allowance. And that way, because when you sewed the outer bodice to the skirt, you used a regular seam allowance. So that way I know exactly where the 2 lines have to meet, and I just turn it under and then hand stitch them together. And that way the lining helps carry the weight of the skirt, and it just looks better. And then you have to do the hem, but I'm not going to do the hem. I mean, if you're a beginning sewer, then I know how important hems are to you. But for the rest of us, we know. you rarely get around to doing the hems. So anyway, oh, and you also have to put a button or a snap on the back. And that's it. Ta-da! It took me 2 hours to do this, but I was stopping and filming and doing everything. So it would take you a lot less time than that. But it's a really lovely dress. It's my current favorite, as I said, and it's just beautiful. So this one here, the Christmas decorations, vintage Christmas decorations one, is 2 yards of fabric, half a yard on the bodice and 1.5 yards for the skirt. And then I put the patchwork one there. It's actually 14 fat quarters, but that works out to 3.5 yards of fabric. So I prefer, and then the grey and black one, if you've seen everything I made in November, that video that I did recently, the one with the grey that has massive flowers on it, and then the black stripes in it, that one has 6 yards of fabric. So you basically do, the more fabric you use in the skirt, obviously the more pleating you have to do and the more time it's going to take. But yeah, it's a really pretty dress. I definitely recommend using it. It's just so pretty. I love it. And I've got some Liberty of London prints, and I want to make them. I bought them to make shirts, but you need 2 yards for a shirt and you need 2 yards for this dress. So now I want to make them all up into dresses instead of shirts. I mean, I know I should make shirts, but this dress is just the cutest. And this dress, like, I wear it over, like, if it's this length, you can wear it over leggings and like a long sleeve t-shirt. And I don't have a very formal life, so I don't particularly need a bunch of shirts anyway. But anyway, it's a really beautiful dress. And if you need something and you don't have anything in your closet that you like, I highly recommend making this dress, because it's really nice and simple and methodical, and you're like, sew a tiny bit, press a tiny bit, sew a tiny bit, press a tiny bit. It's really, there's a nice rhythm to it. I like making this dress. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you've been inspired to take out one of your bits of fabric that you've been meaning to use for ages and make it up into a dress. This is my favourite bit of footage with the old-fashioned rose and the ladybug sash. So cute. It's such a pretty dress. Anyway, happy sewing. Happy holidays.